Hey, can you hear me, guys?
Yeah.
Hey, great. What's up?
We are in live right now. Just 10 seconds to go there.
How are you?
Cool.
We're live now. I can see.
Okay, let me put mute over here. Thanks, Ilya. Thanks, Michel, and thanks, João, Gilberto. We are. We have 5 people right now, 6. And let's start. I would like to ask you, Rafael Benevides. Thank you for your participation. It's a good friend of mine. I'd like to, Ilya, to start to introduce yourself and everybody over here to introduce and tell us about your experience and everything.
Yeah, sure. So, hi, everyone. My name's Ilya. I'm the CEO and co-founder of VanHack. VanHack. We help companies hire tech talent from around the world, and more importantly, we help amazing developers like you guys find jobs and relocate to Canada, Europe, and other countries. So, yeah, good to be here.
What? You are muted.
Okay, João,
Yeah.
do you want to talk about yourself for the second time? Introduce yourself in
Yeah.
this channel.
Yeah. Well, my name is João Gilberto. My name is pretty difficult to say here in Canada because João, nobody can tell. So the people call me Joa, or I just say John. Okay, that's fine. I am here as Cloud DevOps at Skip the Dishes. I came here from VanHack at the first fair VanHack did on São Paulo. And yeah, I work on computers since 1992, so I have a pretty much experience. I started as developer, and now I am DevOps, and that's it.
And Michel, tell us about yourself.
Yeah, I'm Michel. I'm in the right place, right? It's Montreal. You see, Michel is a common name. So I found my place. And yeah, I'm a developer here, .NET, web, full stack developer here. I'm really glad that Juan invited me here to talk with you guys, especially with Ilya. That really helped. I was a VanHacker first free, then premium, then I went to the Leap in Toronto, then I worked for a VanHack, and VanHack introduced me to the conference that I got my job that brings me here. So thanks, Ilya. I want to public thank you here for all your team, amazing team. And yeah, I am the
Michel, I think that is freezing your image. Michel just left us. Okay, I'm Rowan. I work here in Montreal. Also, I work for Aztec Canada, and I just arrived in January over here. And I started this channel to help you with some questions that people call me sometimes and asking for, oh, how you get a job abroad? What is the way to do that? And so I decided to share my experience and the people that I know. Part of this, that my preparation was about the VanHack help, because I was a VanHack premium as well. And I was able to go and pass in this interview. So Michel, keep saying, because you just left us.
No, sorry guys, I don't know why just freeze here. But yeah, I'm a developer here, and I'm glad that I can share my experience here and help others to come. It will be my pleasure. thanks Juan for inviting me.
Okay, we already have some questions. I'm going to put here in the screen. Okay. The question is for Ilya, but I think that everybody, if you want to answer, you can start for Ilya, please.
Yeah, sure. So Jose, nice to see you, or I guess meet you. Thanks for your question. It's really easy. You can just introduce them to myself, to me, and I can talk to them about it. My email is just ilya@vanhack.com. So yeah, it's be a pleasure to help them out.
Yeah. I think that João Gilberto was a guy that was hired by VanHack, right, João Gilberto?
I'm not hired by VanHack, but VanHack helping me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Through VanHack.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So yeah, for me it's pretty easy because Canada was in my plan, but to be honest, I did not do anything to move to Canada. Yeah, since 2012, when I visited Vancouver, I say Canada is beautiful. Everything works here, and the people is amazing. So I would like to come here, but yeah, I'd like, but I was comfortable in my work in Brazil. I worked for Peixe Urbano at that time, and then I worked for another startups and end up as a CTO on Maximilias. So I was pretty comfortable here. So yeah, I just say Canada is beautiful, but I don't want to move. Okay, I was working for another company called Crossover. It's a company that hire people remotely. I was earning in dollar, so earning dollar in Brazil, I was millionaire. Yeah, but I saw advertising from VanHack, and VanHack was offering an opportunity to work on Canada. So I, as curious, I just accept the invite, and the things happen pretty fast. I received the invite in February. It's carnival period, and less than 1 month, I did the interview in English. I did some meetings to explain how we have to sell you to the company, how you prepare your CV, and I was to the meeting in São Paulo, and 5 days after I received an offer, I accept that offer, and in 1 month and a half, I received the LMIA, and 2 months I was in Canada. It's pretty fast, and to be honest, I didn't believe until I arrived here. Yeah, because it's true, it's not a dream. So yeah, and yeah, I'm here almost 2 years. I 2 years will be in the next month in July, and yeah, I believe there's another questions about how is work here. I live to in another moment in that.
There is one question, Michel, that you started to talk about the leap, and Rafael Benevides did a question about what conference was that, the leap. Let you explain after Ilya explain better, because there are many people that would be interested in the leap.
Yeah, I think I was in the first leap. Yeah.
Well, actually, the second one. The first in Canada. We had one in Berlin before.
Yeah, it's yeah. Okay. Yeah, the first in Canada. Actually, leap. Ilya can talk better than me, but for my point of view, it was a great experience. I was actually with my startup in Toronto, and I subscribed. I was selected, and I had many interviews. Was like 2 days meeting companies, crazy, a lot of interviews, a lot of opportunities, and so it's the opposite. So VanHack, you go to the companies, and the companies, it's almost they are in line to talk to you, to know about you, and to hire you. Was not exactly like that, but was a lot of interviews. So it was great to be part of that and help. So we had all the help from VanHack to prepare. So there was a schedule, calendar that I knew which time I should talk to whom, from which company, it's what position, what's the job description. It was insanely cool. It was like a lot of things going on. It was May 2018 when I went, and since that I think VanHack did many other leaps even, and a lot of people hired. We still have our leap group in WhatsApp talking, and I think everybody from the WhatsApp or in Canada or the countries, or everybody had some great experience. So yeah, I totally recommend. And just to make a link to myself, and then Ilya can talk about VanHack. But on that time, for me, I was already looking to work in Canada, but I had a different strategy. Actually, I was trying to come with a startup visa because I had my own company, so it was a different process, a different strategy, and I saw I started following VanHack and the videos from Ilya talking, and I was, okay, it's so hard to be an entrepreneur and being entrepreneur in another country and networking in another country and doing everything. And so I changed my strategy. I started to look for a job, and VanHack helped me this. Like João said, with coaching and changing my resume, LinkedIn profile, everything, and this was a game change for me. Yeah, the leap was definitely a great opportunity. So yeah, I leave Ilya, the man that envisioned leap, to talk about leap. Yeah. So,
Yeah, do you want to explain us, Ilya, what is this the LIP event?
Yeah. It's I guess I'm nostalgic about it because we have a pause right now with these events. People can't really fly to another country for interviews, as you guys know. But Leap was came from the idea that many companies they are unsure if the talent, people like you guys, great developers who just aren't in their city, if they're the same as the ones in their city. There's this bias, or getting less and less and less. But before was very strong, and we thought, why don't we bring, let's say, 20 developers to a city where there's a lot of jobs and have a employer networking, speed dating events and set up interviews, and so that's what we did. It worked really well because a lot of companies who were unsure about sponsoring visa would then say, you know what, I'll just come to the event and see what happens. And a lot of them came to the event and ended up liking the developers and ended up hiring them. Also, the benefit was that the interview process is much shorter. Instead of taking 3-4 weeks, kind of like João, he was hired through an event as well. It just was on a weekend or a leap during the week. It's very fast. You can do 2 or 3 interviews in a day or 2 rather than in 3 weeks. So the chances of you getting an offer go up. So the last thing is really cool is that people like Michel, who went to Toronto, can have the experience of understanding what it's like to live in a city that they want to move to and have more confidence in deciding whether, do I really want to go there? A lot of times VanHackers get hired in a city or a country they've never been to. And, usually people want to go and have this experience, but I think it's nice to also have the test drive. That's how it is. Right now, as I said, it's paused because of the COVID, but we have virtual hiring events that we have. And I think today is the last day to apply for the virtual hiring fair that's happening in 2 weeks, but we're going to have more and more all the time. And then I hope we can go back to more Leap events, more mission events, and get more VanHackers hired soon.
Great. Well, let me put another question over here.
Can I just quickly say hi to Pedro and Hiki?
Oh yeah, there's that's what I'm trying to do right now. There is a link that in the comments over here in the right that you can comment over there.
Yeah.
Like, if you see,
Let's
let me know.
comment.
You have to open the YouTube.
Yeah, I think I have to go to YouTube. But it's okay. I just wanted to say hi to Pedro. He was an
Okay.
member for a long, long time. I remember him and I doing interview practice together, and now he's living in Estonia. That's really nice. So congrats, Pedro.
Okay, there is another question over here. Like, currently I'm a job intern, and my internship has finished, and I'm struggling in order to get a Java junior position. Why is so difficult to hire someone who has not so much professional experience? Well, let me just give this guy is my neighbor over here. He's a Brazilian in Montreal, and he just finished his college over here in Montreal, and now he's trying to look for some job, right? And he's doing this question. That, for my experience, I'm trying to start, and after I can let you talk as well. One of most thing that's hard over here in Montreal is the French language, because most of the people over here, not everybody, they speak French, and many companies over here ask for French. Michel, it's allocated in a huge bank over here, and every meeting it's in French, right, Michel? So it's requirements that you can communicate at least like intermediate French. That's it's a specific thing from Montreal. I don't know really if it's another part of Canada. There are some different thing, or just English, or you can explain us as well. But here is more French speakers.
Yeah.
I think it's not like it shouldn't be too hard to get a job as a Java developer. Maybe it's because the current situation, there's not many companies hiring. I would probably say that's like, you know, most companies put hiring on pause, or maybe only hiring senior developers right now. But I think when things come back, there'll be more jobs for junior developers. Yeah, I think there's plenty of opportunities. Just have to keep looking for them, and hopefully there'll be more and more as things come back. I'm not sure how many jobs Ralph has applied to, but I would apply to as many as possible.
Yeah, just to say something about that. One thing is to try to find a junior position already in the country and with a work permit or something. I think some people are trying to come from another country to here, and then it's even harder, I think, because companies usually to sponsor someone, it's really that guy that they are needed. But like Ilya said, the current situation, I think many senior developers are in the market right now. It's so it's more competitive. But one thing that I can say from my side, I also, when I start searching for jobs, I had experience, but I didn't have so many interviews, or because the way I presented myself, because I didn't have a portfolio, a good LinkedIn, a resume in the Canadian template, and things like that. At that time, VanHack really helped me, but you need to have a strategy. You need to know what position you are looking for, thinking of your career also, to present like the person for that position, even that you are a junior trying to see something, but you're junior, you have Java, so show the words, show the little projects that you did, try to get your GitHub and things like that. Maybe this can improve your chances. Otherwise, people don't know what you do, what did you did, and how can. So you need to sell yourself also. but it's not an easy task. I know. I passed through this process also. Yeah.
What I can tell, it's the first job. It's the most difficult one because you don't have Canadian experience. So you have to struggle to get your first one, and after that, it will be easier for you. And about the language that said, at least in Winnipeg, we talk English. We speak English, and the people is very friendly here. The people, if you don't speak very well, they don't blame you. They try to understand. They will try uh, they try to understand what you're saying and help you on that. So that's pretty good.
Guide you, basically. Try to
Not
guide you.
guide me because they don't get my hand and say that way, but they try to understand. And if you say the word with the wrong pronunciation, they repeat that, not the way of, okay, you said wrong, but the way to 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 to, to listen how to pronounce that, and that's good. It's good for your English, and they really try to understand you.
Okay, I got another question. That's it for Ilya. How do I share my side projects repository in my VanHack profile? If it's private and don't want to make it public, as a plan to make the commercial product.
That's a good question, Jefferson. I don't think you can. I mean, if you don't want to share it, then there's no way to share it, right? Yeah, maybe make a copy of the code, or maybe make a project that you're open to sharing. But I would say probably, there's no way to do it if it's private. Maybe one thing I would say is, like, why do you keep it private? Like, what's so special about it that that you're making? I wouldn't be scared to share it. Like, I think you don't be so nervous about that.
And normally,
it doesn't make a huge difference as well. Don't worry.
And normally, people, I've heard some companies that interview me ask for a GitHub to see how activated you are about your GitHub and how you are about the community, because they care about that. Like open source projects, if you get involved about some open source project or something like that, are there some companies that really care about that? That you used to work normally with VanHack? Or
yeah, there are. I mean, I honestly think that if a company really cares about your GitHub, it's kind of like not the smartest company. A lot of people are in this boat where they can't share their code, or they're working for a company, and that So I kind of think it's a silly thing when someone says, "Oh, you have to have 500 commits in a year," or like the more green things you have in that little box in GitHub profile. Honestly, that's not a good way to measure if a developer is strong or not. So I wouldn't worry about it too much. I would just focus on being a good developer, and if you can't share your code publicly, don't worry about it. Do a coding test. That's much better, because you can get a good grade on that and show. Even that's not perfect. So just be as good a developer as you can, and then have a strong resume, and then you'll be called to interviews, and then during the interview you can really shine and show your skills.
Yeah, I can share a little experience also, because all my I don't have a GitHub, and for me, what was I really shared. I said the projects and the technology that I use, and when I had the interview, I showed the apps, for instance, from my company that I had, that I was founder. I app. So I showed like, I have an app with 4 million downloads, and this is the app. Look how it is. So they didn't ask to me like, can you show me? I was prepared, and I showed, and this was like a wow moment from the interview. Normally, like, 4 million downloads, let me see, and then showing the app, and this was life changer for me for the interviews, because people could actually see that I code something that was used by users, and that's pretty much what they want to do, and all the other things for private from your personality, culture fit, and other things. If you are a team player and other things, but yeah, definitely, if you have private, you can show something or can tell in a general term that can maybe highlight what you are doing.
Yeah, I have. Oh,
I'm sorry, I got it.
yeah, I have an active GitHub repository, and I have a small blog. Is not so active, but that it's important because when they are asking for a code interview, for example, they know how I code, so that it's pretty good. And don't be afraid to share your code. You don't have anything any other programmer did. So if you do very good, if you did that code very good, it's good you show, because uh, you tell for everyone I did that, and that's your how you show to other companies. So don't be afraid to share your code. I have 100 repositories on GitHub, and all at least 20% is active there.
Yeah, I agree. Like, especially if you're going to do a business, the value of your code is not. It's like the value of the business is not really the code. The value of the business is,
Yep.
the customers you can attract and things like that. So,
Yes.
I mean, it's both together, right? But
Yeah, there is another question. I'm following the order of the questions here on the YouTube. Okay, I'm trying to get everybody's questions over here by order. That's another question. Actually, most for you, Ilya. People are curious about VanHack.
sure, yeah. Again, before I answer this one, I want to say hello to another VanHacker here, Fernando, who got hired in Toronto or maybe Waterloo. I'm not sure exactly where you are now, but I think you got two
Yeah, in
jobs.
Toronto.
Toronto for now, Fernando. Awesome. Yeah, Waterloo moved to Toronto. He also came to a Leap event. So hey,
with me. I met Fernando over there
last year. Yeah, it was last May, right?
Yeah.
That was our best Leap event actually. Anyway, Jose, the coding test. Yeah, you can definitely do it as more than one language. You can take as many as you want. Basically, it's an integration with HackerRank. We have an API integration with them. Go to your profile to do the coding test. It redirects to HackerRank. You take the test, and then your score will show up on your VanHack profile. And we use it a lot when companies are checking out profiles. They always like to see someone with a good score on HackerRank. That helps you. So take the test and do a good job. And yeah, good luck.
Okay. Another thing is the questions is that does the certification, like in Java, for example, makes any difference for the company, the final results? Do you want to start Ilya, and after Michel and me and João Gilberto?
I think it doesn't hurt, but I don't think it's a big difference if you have it or if you don't have it. It's nice to have, but not critical. So more important, I think, is code quality and how you answer questions.
Yeah, I agree with Ilya, but it depends on what you are looking for. For instance, I work for a consulting company, and sometimes there are some requirements for working for government, and you need some certifications, or working for banks, or working in some projects. So if you have them, you can be the one that they choose if they have two great candidates and you already have some certificates. Like Ilya said, doesn't hurt. I don't think that this alone proves that you are the guy. They will test your code, your other things, so you need to be ready. But yeah, the certificate is it can be the one thing to highlight, depending on what you're looking for also.
Do you want to talk, João?
Yeah, I agree with Ilya. There is no much difference if you have or don't, because at the end you'll be tested the same way. So if you answer with confidence your interview, if you do the code test good, very good, the certification at the end will not make so much difference.
Well, what I've seen is that if they have two good guys in the final round, they score all the process like the same. That's might be the difference. Oh, this guy has a certification. That's what I'm going to proceed. Like over here in Montreal, like I work for the consultant company called Aztec Canada, and they are really have some clients over here. That's really important to some certification as well. Like Michel said, they care about over here in Montreal. I normally say that Montreal it's another country inside of Canada because they have a little bit different culture, right? Like they speak French, but the culture is a little bit different, and they have some different stuffs over here that care about. Like I have a safe certification in Brazil. I never care about that, but here when they know about that, oh, do you have safe certification? That's amazing. Like it's really valuable for the people like over here in Montreal.
Yeah, I just want to add something and extend the question to many people ask also about graduation and things like that. It's not also mandatory, but like I said, I work for S2Z Canada. It's a consulting company, and they had some clients in some projects that were with government or engineering, some projects that actually are requirements to have some master in something engineering or something. So I don't think this is a rule. This is not something that you see in all the companies, but some projects may need this. So if you have it, if you have a graduation, if you have other certificates are nice, but it's not mandatory neither. Yeah. I think if you all agree with that, I have colleagues that doesn't have a bachelor degree, for instance. Yeah.
Okay, another question. I'm gonna follow the order here. Did you guys make IELTS exam? If yes, could talk about your grades. Actually, I'm going to start here to answer to Jose. Normally, for example, to hire people, the companies does not ask you for. I don't know if some company VanHack, but I usually speak French over here, and they didn't ask me to take an exam every like a TEFAC or TCF or some English proficiency. Because I did all the process in English and in French, and my technical test was in French. And if they, in my case, they asked me to improve my French during the visa process a little bit, right? And so to immigrate, it's important, but to get a job, it's important to, for example, in the VanHack, it's important to pass in the English test inside the test. And for me, it's important to hack the French interview, right? And so let's follow the order here and answer to João.
Yeah. You need to do the IELTS exam or any language exam because the immigration process is not for the interview, but for if you got the offer, you need immigrate, and for the immigration, he requires you have IELTS exam. I believe the minimum. It depends on which process you are coming here. If you come as LMIA, as I came, it's necessary only 5. It's not so much higher. But if you come with a provisional nominee program, you need at least 6 or 7. I don't know. Yeah, it depends. And if you are coming as a student, you need, I believe it's 7 in the academic IELTS. So it depends. It depends. But you need to do IELTS or CELPIP exam.
Yeah.
Good.
I don't know if Ilya did the IELTS test. Ilya? But yeah, I did actually in 2018, and I was I think was 7 my grade. If you can compare something like that, it's a 7, right? But like Ro said, I work in French every day here, and I start French a year and 2 months ago. So wow, how can you do that? It was really the company really trust. I did my interview in English. I talked to the company. I said that I was committed to improve my French, and they said, okay, we'll give a short time and evaluate. If you had a great improvement, then we can say if you have at least intermediate to you need to communicate in a daily basis and everything. I said yes. I start doing French and mainly speaking and listening. So I came with my French not very good. It's better now. I work every day in French, but so what I can say about language in my and I'm more than 30 years old, so it's not easy to a guy like me to start a new language. Okay, it's Latin. It's similar to Portuguese, my modern language. I have a little theory that you can learn the language like a child. You do some mistakes, speak a little fun, but you can speak. People will understand. Uh, it's not. It's ugly. You need to improve. You need to study. You need to be. Uh, but you go to a plateau in the curve. But in the beginning, when you are learning, it's a lot of grammar. It's a lot of vocabulary. You improve really fast if you are committed, especially if you are using every day. So if you really want to come, I think language shouldn't be something that really stops you. If you really want, you can practice nowadays, listen a lot, and this can't be an excuse, in my opinion. Many people said to me when I was looking, like in 2018, oh, but my English, I don't have it. And in 2018, I never thought of doing French to come and work. And people had English in school, so at least the basics. And now I'm here in Canada, working in French, and they are still like, oh, but I don't know my language. You need to start now. That's my personal experience that I want to, like, kind of say, guys, you can do it. You can do it to yourself. You have VanHack to help. You have many sources to do this. It's just a matter of if you really want to come. Language shouldn't be in your way. That's my point of view.
Okay, you can answer, but talks also about this question about how VanHack, because many people doesn't know. There are some people send me in the WhatsApp over here as well. They doesn't know that you have some class for preparation, English improving, because VanHack has some kind of class as well, like for the candidates and.
Yeah. So I think people don't know. You're right. We actually started off as an online school for developers to help with English, helping specifically for English for developers who want to relocate to in Canada and Europe. The course is called VanHack Premium. If you go to vanhack.com/premium, you'll see all the information. Basically, it's a group class that we have eight times a week, 1.5 hour class. With an English teacher who talks about different common interview questions, both behavioral and technical. So in my opinion, it's the best value. out there for developers who want to relocate specifically, because it's exactly the English you need to know to pass job interviews. It's not like, how to order food or how to take a taxi. It's really how to do a job interview. So check that out. And if you don't like it in the first 30 days, you get a full money back guarantee, so no risk, or you just get a free month of English class. Yeah, so that's how we started. VanHack is still a big part of what we do. So check that out. I think just I think Michel's absolutely right. English is such an important part of what you learn, and if you can learn how to work in Java, work in JavaScript or Python or these other programming languages, they're much harder to learn than to learn English. And you, as a developer, you also don't need to have fluent English. You can have good enough English, because for you don't really work in English every day. I mean, you do, but you don't talk to customers and try and sell something or do marketing or lawyer or doctor, where you have to have perfect English because you can't make one word mistakes. It's pretty straightforward, I guess. Yeah, so I would just encourage everyone to learn English as much as possible, and you don't need IELTS to get hired. You need IELTS to get the permanent residency. So don't worry about it. Focus on getting a job, and then afterwards you can do the IELTS.
And one more, do you think, Ilya, that's important? It's just English. It's important, know some language with good experience, and know, for example, the structures, algorithms. What is more common, questions normally that people ask in the process interview, do a code, a real challenge, do a piece of a model, or do something else. I don't know what.
Yeah, that's a good question. I think usually what I've seen is they ask you to solve a problem, or how would you write this code this project, and then you solve it, and then they say, okay, well, if you change these variables, what would you do differently? That's a pretty common question. There's a lot of coding tests. So you do a take-home test, you have to build something, and then go over the code and do a peer review where you say why you did things the way you did them. They ask a lot of different questions, what is X thing, X term, define it, how does it work, explain it, those kind of things. And then also behavioral questions, like how you work with other people, challenges you have, your weaknesses, things like that.
Oh, that's great. The same thing, João, Gilberto, and Michel. That's for you, what is important for the developers get hired, in the process of interview, not just English, but in the technical way.
João, you want to start?
Yeah. I am a pretty technical. I am not manager-like, but I am more technical. So what makes the difference for me, it's my knowledge about the position I am trying to get in. So yeah, if I know how to do, and I am confident when I am explaining about the question, I have 90% chance to get that job. Because if it's a really difference. If you don't have doubt, or you your confidence on that on the subject, it's what counts for me.
Yeah. For me, I think people make so many silly mistakes. I can tell about it myself. Okay, I made so many silly mistakes that now I see back then and say, wow, how I was supposed to get a job like that. So I thought that all the job positions were the same. So giving my same resume as a standard with, so I didn't try to match. So when I understand that it's a process, I need to have some strategy, I need to have some goals, I need to focus. So I search who can help me. I search VanHack that helped me. I study about it. So do you know how to answer about yourself? Do you know how to answer about your experience? Do you really know what what you did and you are showing your resume? Your resume is a lot of things. When I did my resume, I worked many years for the same company, and after that I left to open my own company. So I was not looking for a job like almost 8, 10 years. So I said, okay, now I will do it and start doing my resume. It was 7 page. Who wants to read a book to hire someone? You know, this is so was so many silly mistakes, and then how can I do a resume of that? How can I highlight what I did? You know, and the language. How can I show to a company that I really want to go to Canada? Why? Because I visit, because I know what. So if you sit with yourself, think what you want. This is the first step, and then you can search, go to search who can help you, and how can you improve. It's a project, right? Like all the project take time, it's preparation, and then you can achieve your goals. It can take some time for some people. And like João said, one thing, I am really generalist. I did a lot of different things, and I think there are so many, especially here, they want some specialists in some tags and some things. And for me, this was a challenge. So aim to something that you really like and show that you are really expert on that also, and show that you, if you are a generalist like me, and that you can play other roles, that you can do other things. For some companies that's key, but it's difficult if you are looking for something more general to apply just for something really specific. And or if you want to work as a .NET full stack developer, you are applying for a React native position. It's a strategy. I think when you understand how this works, you get many interviews and some offers. So prepare yourself to look for a job. Yeah.
What have you seen? That's a little bit of my case, and as a student in VanHack Premium, I was a little bit shy, and I didn't know how to structure my ideas and explain what I do and exactly, and because like tell a history about my life, like working life, and so that's funny because when I started the process, I participated at the same process in Brazil in 2016, and that João Gilberto. Gilberto was my teacher in the college, and in São Paulo, and that's funny because it was I just realized that what it is VanHack, and 1 week later I was in the event in São Paulo, and I didn't have time to prepare myself, and so what I did in that moment. I just focused in the code, and I forgot to talk to the guys in the stage, in the hotel lobby where we did the event, and they didn't know who I was. I just focused in delivering the code, and so it's important also to get the people to introduce yourself, to ask questions, and show the interest about the company as well. Because show your difference. It's not just the code. It's like it's a complete package. I should say.
Yeah,
Okay.
in the fair in São Paulo, I did exactly that. I talked with all interviewers and showing my progresses. So when they interview me, they just ask to me, "Yeah, hey, you finish it?" Yes, I finished. It's easy. So, but they already knew what I did. So that's make a huge difference for me.
Yeah, and that's totally true. You need to talk to people, because you need to put yourself in the other position, right? You are hiring. You want to bring someone from another country to your company. It's expensive, takes time. So you don't want just a machine that codes, you want someone that can be a cultural fit, that you can talk, that it's have fun, that thinks the same, yeah, that you can have a daily work, that it's not hard. So and I know, because I'm a developer also, that it's hard to have this skill. Sometimes we are shy, we are geeks, and but in the other position they were also geeks, and so we use that, talk about these things, so yeah, we are Star Trek fans. So I don't know, but it's make a bond, talk something that can connect, and I saw at VanHack in the São Paulo mission. What was fun was in the end of the event, we had some companies sitting with candidates and talking like they are friends already. And it's a process so stressed for everybody who is looking for a job, and after who is searching for the right candidate, and in the end just hanging out. And this makes a difference. If you just go to a hotel nervous enough, you don't get in touch with people. This is what João told. It's totally true. Yeah, I totally agree.
Okay, I have another question for the order. What about the costs of living in Canada? It is gonna say that Vancouver is very expensive. No, it's better.
To buy a house, probably expensive, but everything else I think is similar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, by my side here, in Montreal, you can live with the salary good. You can pay your rent. You can buy, have a car. You can have, you can buy. You go to the supermarket and buy your stuffs. You, my son is in the daycare. That's called garderie in French, and we need to pay until he got 5 years old. After he's going to the primary school, and that's good. I here have money because all my tax are well applied. Like in Brazil, basically make a comparative. I don't like to do that, but you have your taxes, but you need to pay for health, for education. And here you have this quality, right? Yeah, about the healthy and the all this stuff. So I can save more money, even if I make less than Brazil in the comparative way. But for me, it's really nice. I have a good quality. I work like my hours. I can enjoy the summer, the spring. I know about you, Ilya, but what you can say about the cost of living?
Yeah, I think that as a developer, you guys are coming to Canada with a great salary. There's a minimum salary the government can pay, or the company can pay you, that's regulated by the government in order for you to be hired from abroad. So you're all going to come in, a salary that's pretty high, especially for someone like an immigrant. A lot of people move to Canada and work in a restaurant, or working in a not a very well-paying job, and they have to work up to this point. But the nice thing about being a developer is you can come in already with a good job, and then you have an open work permit for your spouse, your husband, or your wife, and they can also work. So you have double income, and this really helps, of course. So that's awesome. Of course, different cities are cheaper or more expensive. All this is public information. You can see there's many websites like Numio and others. Easily Google cost of living comparison, something like this. So I think places like Montreal and Winnipeg definitely really, really good cost of living. More expensive places like Vancouver and Toronto, a little bit higher rent. But in terms of like food and transportation, all these things, it's pretty similar. Yeah. So that's I guess all I would say. And of course, also the last thing is like it depends on the person, right? So if you're someone who is going to restaurants a lot, likes to go to spend money on fancy clothing and all these kind of things, you're going to be spending more money. So a lot of it is a personal preference for you and your family.
Yeah, I can share a little bit. I lived 6 months in Toronto, and now I'm living 6 months here in Montreal. Just to say a little bit, the difference is it's Toronto is much more expensive, but I think when how Ilya said, when you come here, it's a little different of range of salaries that you can receive, but you can live well. You know, you can compare. Food is expensive, but other things are less expensive. So in an average, you can pay all your bills. It's not a problem. I came with my wife. She doesn't have a job, and now it's harder to get a job, but we're living good. We don't need to rush now. So this is kind of the reality here. If you come with a job, but yeah, coming with reais, I came with reais from the other company. Then it's really expensive. I was in Toronto, so mainly I was getting reais and paying dollar. You need to switch to win dollar to paying dollar and win reais to. Like João said, he was millionaire because he was earning dollars and paying in reais. It's
Yeah, yeah.
worse. But yeah, you know, the cost of living here, it's more expensive in the way that if you just convert, but what you receive here is much more, like Jose said, the cost of living and the quality of living are uh,
It's
together.
fair.
Yeah, it's fair.
Yeah.
For me,
Sorry, go ahead.
no, go ahead, please.
Okay, sure. So really quickly, like, let's say you're making $80,000, which is, you know, not average, maybe a little bit below. Some people making 85, 90, 100, between 80 and 100, I would say. Again, depends. You're making about $6,700 before taxes. After taxes, making about maybe $4,500, $5,000, depending on the province, per month that you take home. Let's just say 4,500. You're probably going to be spending on rent and food maybe 2,500 to 3,000, depending on how many bedrooms house you have. So you're saving, let's say, $1,500 a month that you can spend on other stuff or just save it. So, you know, you're totally fine. And if you, again, have your wife working or you're making more than 80,000, like we had a VanHacker who got a job for $200,000. Most people get, you know, don't get that.
Depends on in the city as well, because there are some cities that it's so hard to find something like that.
Yeah.
And the position also, right? And things like that.
Exactly. Yeah, most people are between 80 and 100. This was definitely an outlier, but we've had people making 140, 160. Anyway, mostly Toronto has a higher salaries. The point is that you're going to come in and you're going to be able to pay your bills and live your life. And then, of course, after 1 year, 2 years, get promotion.
Yeah. For me, yeah, that what you guys said, I agree, totally agree. And I would like to add that what you pay for tax is really expensive, but you have all from the government. So I don't need to pay for school, to health. I don't need to pay. I can get bus to work, for example. I can buy my car. So yeah, there's what I receive here. It's probably less than I receive in Brazil, but in Brazil I was in the cheque especial, you know, and here I don't know what is this.
I don't know what that is either.
Yeah, it's like every month the
red.
Bank, the bank borrows money from me.
Negative bank account.
Yes.
The balancing of the bank account was negative, and he needs to take the money from the bank.
Yeah, and pay a lot for that.
Yeah, because for example, school is very expensive. For example, like in Brazil, for my 3 years old little boy, 4 years old right now, I used to pay like 2,000 reais, but in a small school and simple schools, not like a reference school with a bilingual language school. It's like just in my neighborhood in front of my house, there was this is a small daycare, and sometimes I can say Garda Hip because my over here in Montreal, we don't say daycare. We say garderie every time. And sometimes I stop. Okay, it's a daycare in English. But over here, it's like just I'm paying right now almost $200. But in the end of the year, when I'm going to do, I think that the government is going to return some fee for me. I'm not sure yet, but next year he's going to the public school. That's for free. That's amazing for me.
Yes.
And
Yeah.
that's so different.
Yeah. Public school, healthcare. Yeah. The price of cars as well, I think, is different.
Yeah, exactly. And that's good because my wife, we used to work, me and my wife were there, and didn't have time for nothing. And over here, I have like happy hours with my company. We have a career plan, and I have, for example, I'm working in the consultant company. That's what is great in this. To work in a consultant company, that you can work in many customers. Like you have a mandate, and when you finish, you go to another. You can work in many different companies, and for the same one company. That's one thing that's really I'm enjoying right now, and that's it basically. And let me see. I have another question for you. It's most. I think that's the. I really don't know how to answer that. Ilya might know because he knows the positions.
Yeah. So this one very quickly. Joven Paduan. Love the name. Yes. It's because there's not a lack of professionals in this field. So technical support. There's many people here in Canada that are able to do this job. So therefore, there's not a demand to hire these people from abroad. Unfortunately, that you probably won't have a chance to get hired. I always tell people who are working with infrastructure, tech support, maybe to look in DevOps as a potential field, because there's a lot of jobs in DevOps. I'm sure João can say. And João, I'm guessing you get a lot of recruiters sending you messages on LinkedIn every day.
Yeah. My son studied here in Canada, and he got a technical support degree here. And for him, even studying here is not so easy. And he is working on live ops. It's like a call center support, but it's okay. It's fine. Because he's getting our salary and he can buy his stuff. But and for me, I had a background in software developer, more than 15 years. But Skip the Dishes specifically don't work with the language I was more proficient. So I had a generalist profile in terms of technical. I applied for DevOps and I got the job because I use my knowledge, not fixing computer. DevOps not that, okay?
Yeah.
But planning the infrastructure, defining the architecture of the services, and reliability and the other things. So I got my knowledge with that and applied for the opportunity on Skip the Dishes, and fortunately I am here right
now. Yeah, helping scale a solution is not an easy task.
No. And when you got an error and you are on call, 4 a.m., you receive the call. Oh, the site is not working in Australia. Okay. I am waking. Wake up. Okay, 5 minutes. I need to be ready to try to solve, and I am on call with 60 people in the room, and I have to answer. And they ask, "What happened?" I don't know.
I knew about that.
Yeah,
I heard about that.
Today you can't say that you are in the cinema or something, right?
No. When I am on call, I cannot do that.
Yeah.
I have a cell phone with me, and if someone call, I have to answer in 5 minutes.
And that's funny because this weekend that happened, this thing, I was trying to reach João because we are writing a book together that calls it's in Portuguese Microservice Journey with many authors, and I was like, João, did you write your part? João, did you write your part? Actually, João disappeared on the weekend, so I couldn't reach him. So what happened?
Yeah.
Priorities. Yes.
Oh, my cell phone here. 1 second.
Oh,
I'm not on call, but let me check right.
okay.
Mute me, please.
What is the guys the what is the better focus in learning specific technologies stack or improve in more general abilities like Solidity, all design partners, and so let's what is the most common for you in the VanHack companies normally?
I think the easiest and most common is JavaScript. Like especially React right now. That's because every company needs a front end with and there's only 3 main frameworks, or I guess 2, Angular and React, and everyone's using React now. So you're always going to need front end developers and many front end developers because it's something that can makes a big impact on the product. Back end, I would say. Yeah. Okay. So to answer Gabriel's question, like it's probably better to focus on something specific, but you also do need to know solid OPP and design pattern. So you kind of have to know both. Yeah. Like, I would say like focus on what you think you can be the best at. If that fits into like the demand, so if you really like Java and you want to be a Java developer, like that's one of the top skills, in demand skills. So go for that.
Yeah, but just let me complete a question, because the question is from myself, and you just can and finish answer this question, like for full stack, because every time I'm seeing the companies asking more stacks, like it's not like just backend. I like the full stack, but the guy that knows like a little bit of a Kubernetes and Docker, and a little bit of Java or Go, and a JavaScript with a React, something like that. What do you think? Like the companies are more. What is the way? Imagine that for me, like I'm backend. For the future, what do you think? Like from now, the companies are more asking like for full stack, like a little bit of DevOps, like Kubernetes and Docker and Go or Java and JavaScript from the front end, like for example.
Yeah, I mean, I think the perfect person would be someone who can do everything really well. It just doesn't exist. There's not many people that are like this. So even though companies are asking for this, and sometimes what they do is they put a job description with many things, but really they only want like this is the real like they only there's like nice haves and must have skills, and they put everything, but they'll be willing to settle for something less. I think it's totally fine to focus and be like the best you can at back end. I will say now though, it is important for you to have a little bit of a DevOps mindset with everything going to microservices, so understanding how Docker, Kubernetes work. But I don't think that you have to be worried that you have to know everything. It's nice, and it's also really important to know how to work together. Like right now, actually, I can tell an example for us at VanHack. We went from a back-end, front-end kind of separation on our team to everyone working as a full stack, or at least being able to work as full stack. And what happens is we have the back-end developers who are focused and strong on back-end, able to work in front-end. So therefore, they can contribute to front-end code when we need the team to be more focused on developing a specific feature that's more front-end focused. And that's really helped us improve on the speed of our development. But it's just one example of us. It's not like I'm expecting the back-end developers to be experts in front-end.
Yeah, my point of view is if you're already talking about solid design patterns, you already had some experience. Companies are looking for experienced people if you want to migrate, So if you have 15 years of experience, if you have one, it's all in Java, for instance. You know the ecosystem of Java. You can concentrate that. You already know some things, so you can study a little bit more about something that can add to that. But if you are a generalist, you already did many things. Maybe you should focus on something that the companies are looking for. But one mistake that I did in the beginning was, okay, companies are looking like for React. I will focus only for React. You can, uh, but I didn't work with React, so it was hard to sell me as a React developer. So it really depends on how your strategy also. But for sure, if you are a good developer, you know, and experienced, you already know some patterns. You already know about general object-oriented programs or event-driven or something like that. The APIs, like Ilya said, it's a huge trend, DevOps, and with DevOps came a bunch of tools that can be used. You know, not just Docker, Kubernetes, but you have different tools. So the mindset how this work, it's important. But you know, you need to do what's your path for your career also, right? What you want to work and if you are updated and things like that. So I think there is no right answer. It's a lot of there is a lot of jobs out there for different generalists, specialists, DevOps, front end, back end. Still have many things like that. But it's normal if you pass through many things that you already did some back end, some front end, some infrastructure, some microservice. You already passed through authentication, security, some things you already passed. So experience gives you that also. It's hard to. Now I will start learning everything. So you need to do something really well also.
Well, there's Pedro. I'm going to complete the question of Pedro as well. And do you think that the companies consider experience as some other countries like in Europe, experience as valuable as a Canadian experience? And also, how that is working in the Corona time? Like the people are running for work remotely, and how that's working about the all the process of hiring people around the world, basically.
Yeah, so to answer that, and hi again, Pedro. Hope you're enjoying Talon. If you ever get a chance to visit St. Petersburg, it's a beautiful city. Sorry. Yeah, so yes, I think so. I think that companies, maybe not exactly as Canadian experience, but definitely any international experience you have, I think helps, and especially like Europe or US, even if it's remote, is nice. So if you have experience working, like let's say you've only worked for, like you're only in Brazil, but you have worked remotely with people from other parts of the world, that's definitely important to talk about in your job interviews, highlight on your resume. And I think, Pedro, the fact that you've worked and lived in Estonia, already worked abroad, will definitely help you if you want to move to Canada. You also asked about COVID. So yeah, a lot more companies now are open to hiring remote than they were before, which is the one good thing I think that's coming out of the COVID situation, is that we're going to see more companies open to remote work, and I think international hiring because of this. Because if you're going to hire someone remotely, it doesn't matter if that person's in your city or in your hemisphere. They can be in anywhere in the world as long as they can work the same time zone as you, or close to the same time zone. So yeah, I think that it's a positive and something that will continue.
Okay. Just to share something with the COVID, I also work for a consulting company as the Z Canada, and when I came here, I was supposed to work for in a project in another company that because of the COVID, the project was canceled. So it's like I need to do other interviews with other companies, like to have project. And with this bank that I am working right now, was already in the quarantine everybody, and the bank was not working remotely normally regularly, and they were like trying to switch in. So I did all the interviews remote, and I started the project. They sent me by mail the computer, so came here the computer, the everything. So I'm working at home. I never met the people in person yet, even though that they are close here, because we are in quarantine, right? So, and they are noticing that, oh, people are working and delivering even remote. So yeah, if it's a thing, definitely it's that companies now are more open to remote work. Yeah.
Yeah, for me it's as well. Just because I just arrived here in January, in the end of January, I started to work, and as I'm working for Stack Canada, it's a consulting company as well, and I didn't have a mandate. Like I need to look for a mandate, and that's funny because I started to work and I did my first interview. I got hired for a client, and all the process because I knew took a lot of time, and when they decided to approve, was like in the end of the March, like in the middle of the pandemic, the coronavirus, and they told me to go there and take the computer and do all the setup in the branch of the company, and start to work. Like I've never seen my colleagues from my current mandate, and that's good. But I think that the companies are adapting because like Aztec Canada is doing like what is they call sun cassette, like a happy hour over here once per week. They have some activities online that's helped a lot to don't feel alone because it's like it's a little bit sad to be alone all the day because normally you go to take a coffee and talk about some specific problem with a friend in person, and that's what is so hard in this time of COVID, like coronavirus. It's like you just focus in your computer and lock yourself in the room, and it doesn't have nobody to talk with. So that's one thing that the stack is doing, like in a positive way. I think that many companies are doing the same thing. It's like some happy hours online. Everybody bring your beer and talk about something that you did on the weekend, on the week, and what you're gonna do in the weekend barbecue because it's almost summer here in Canada, and so that's it's good because you just doing some socializable stuff because like social stuff because here right now we don't have opportunity, so it's so hard because in my case I'm just arrived right now and I'm a friend of Michel. We live in the same city and just we met just once before the pandemic. We had like a brunch, but we never met each other again because I'm living in the part of the city, he's living in another part of the city, and so it's so hard to right now to meet each other because I'm fat, I'm going to the risk, and Michel has asthma and he has risk as well. So lockdown, it's
We are afraid of each other. We can't just a remote beer. We can't go. He's a threat to me, and I am a threat to him. It's no, it's everybody like that. But yeah, nowadays it's all different, and for everybody, it was a huge problem for many companies, and projects were canceled and things. So yeah, definitely now it's different.
well. Let's so one thing. Let's answer two more questions and finish. Okay, because everybody think that's tired. It's already reached our time. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, Skip the Dishes didn't have a policy to work remote, work from home. But after the COVID issue, all people are working from home, and they are liking that. So probably they start to discuss if you will continue work from home, if you would be more flexible, you can work at the office or you can work from home, and they are discussing that. So during this period, I received my computer by mail, my cell phone by mail, and my son is working for Skip the Dish as well. It's working in call center remotely, so that everything is working remote. And the Skip the Dishes increase every week, increase your order volume, because we work with delivery, food delivery, and that is increasing a lot here. So
That's great.
yeah, great, and a lot of job as well. But it's good. I am not blaming that.
Order per second now.
Yeah.
Just two questions. A quick question for you, Ilya, that people I don't want to miss them. Like, could you tell us again when will be the next VanHack events? Like during the pandemic and after the pandemic, and missed the last VanHack premium promotion in April. I guess there are two people asking that, like Jefferson and Jose. Will be there be any new promotions in the next future, like in the VanHack premium?
Yeah, so I just put the events link in YouTube in the chat. I don't know if it'll show up there, guys, but yeah, the user VanHack just put it there. So the next event will be June 12th, virtual hiring fair. So check that out. You can easily sign up and apply, and we'll, hopefully we'll select you. And then for the virtual or for the VanHack Premium, probably the next promotion we'll have will be Black Friday in the end of November, which we have every year. But I will say this, if $20 a month is the difference between you getting hired abroad or not, I think that it's not that much money. 60 guys is really all you'll be saving per month. Maybe one dinner or something like this. I'm not sure how much it costs to go to Outback these days. But the point is that, invest in yourself, and I think the money will be very well spent. Again, if you don't like it, get your money back after 30 days. So, yeah.
Well, last question over here. Are there opportunities for C# or SQL developers? Like Michel is from C#.
Yeah, it's really hard, Renata, because it's a lot of competition, But yes, and I'm living proof. I came as a .NET and full stack developer. But definitely I had shown some other skills also. I came to a consultant that works directly with Microsoft Tech. So for DevOps is Azure DevOps, and we have all the Azure things and Office Dynamics and SharePoint. It's Microsoft Teams and all the Microsoft Stack, right? But for instance, I'm working in a client that I work with other stack also. It's not just .NET. So yes, there is, but it's good if you have the latest knowledge of .NET. If you are good with then design patterns, and so many companies are looking for the latest stack, like Ilya said. But yeah, you can find .NET and Java. These two main, I think it's a lot of competition. So, but there are many jobs also available. But I don't know what you guys think. Yeah.
Well, do you want to talk, Ilya?
I thought I was freezing.
Yeah, me too.
I'll just quickly say, Hinata, yes, there are jobs for .NET, but of course it all depends on years of experience, your technical abilities. I will say one thing that you have going for you is that you're a woman, and right now, frankly, companies are really trying to hire women developers who are women as much as possible. So use this as your advantage, and keep going, trying, and seeing what you can get. Also, very quickly, I don't know why my VanHack account's not able to comment in the chat, but if you guys just go to the VanHack website and click on events in the top menu, it'll be all the events there, and then also premium, I think, is in the top menu, or just vanhack.com/premium. It's pretty simple. So yeah.
Well, I think that there are many opportunities. My company, Aztec Canada, is over here is looking every week. For example, there are some positions in C#, mostly speaking French. It's important as well. As Ilya said, for women, it's really good. The people are really want to. The companies really want to hide women in the technology, because it's so hard to find women's programming, and so they want to do in some way incentive the women's get hired, and so it's good. And so you can try. If you know French, please let me know. Aztec Canada is high.
Yes, okay. I think also, so maybe not, but yeah, there is I think now the job opportunities are like moving around, like there are still some on hold situations, I think, but like was said, for Montreal it's important French, and like Ilya said, woman in tech is a high trend. The government here in Canada give grants to companies also. There are some movements, woman as CEO of companies. So yeah, definitely there are many opportunities. And SQL developers also, as the Z Canada has some opportunities to work directly with database and things like that. Yeah. So yes, there are opportunities here.
Yeah, I just tried to find you on the VanHack talent pool, Hinata, and I wasn't able to. So if you don't have a VanHack account yet, create one. It's free, and you can apply the job.
Okay, I would like to say let's finish over here. I think that our time just gone. I appreciate Ilya, Michel, and João for your help. And I know that people are coming later. There are some people that are asking for the link to see later because they are busy right now. That's good, because it's going to be recorded over here. And I appreciate, because there are many people, even in this situation, that want to look for international experience. And over here we have like 4 different opportunities. Like you have Ilya in VanHack, we have me and Michel with a consulting company in Montreal, we have João Gilberto as well, get hired. Everybody told you about their experience, and the specific thing that makes difference to get hired. Okay, and if you have some questions or suggestions for the next live, please let me know. Okay, thank you everybody and we're finishing right here. Bye.
Thank you for the opportunity. See you guys.